Mendoes with another video for virtualsheetmusic.com. First of all, I want to apologize for not having a video for a while. There's several other projects I was working on and just didn't quite have time. But anyway, today I'd like to talk about something that I feel like is pretty important. And it's not so much a technical thing, but more of a kind of a mental thing. It's the importance of memorization. How important it is to memorize. I think it's especially important for string players. Well, I'll get into why it's important for string players later. Let me first just start off talk about why it's important generally. It's important generally because I think that when you memorize a piece, you really internalize it. It really almost becomes a part of you, and in a way, almost literally, it does. It's in your memory. So when you are performing from memory, I think you'll always experience a certain degree of freedom that you otherwise wouldn't have. Now, I know many of you are scared of memorization. That it's maybe you're afraid of forgetting on stage. And I've even forgotten on stage several times in my life, and it's not so bad when it happens. You learn from it. It's never something that can really cripple you totally. So there's nothing to worry about there. I just find it's very, very helpful to perform from memory when you can. Now, of course, there's going to be certain circumstances when you have to use music. For example, when you're in orchestra, or when you're playing chamber music, or when you're playing things like that, where it would be kind of strange, to have, say, in a string quartet, everybody but the cellist using music. That's pretty bizarre. So in cases like that, you still want to memorize your music, but then obviously use the part as you play it. Now, the reason why I say this is because it not only does it really become a part of you then, but also your brain is free to focus on a wide variety of other things. All these technical things that I talk about, such as, we talked about vibrato in a video, getting that nice free vibrato, or bow changes, making sure you're able to make really, really smooth, beautiful bow changes. All these kinds of things. It's easy to forget about those things when you actually have to sit down to play. However, when you have a piece in your head and you have it memorized, not only do you have it memorized, but you have all the motions that are required to play the piece memorized as well. So all these things that you work on, all these techniques that you work on, become then a part of actually what you're doing. So I think this is actually really critical to being able to perform at your best. Whether, again, you are in an orchestra or what, trying to memorize your part is really important. Now, how to memorize is another important question. There's a lot of techniques that I think are useful. I personally like to spend some time with the music away from the cello, not only to study the piece really in a way that I couldn't with the cello in front of me, but also it helps me to get just kind of the pure musical aspects of it in my head. So I'm not really spending time memorizing bowings or fingerings here. I'm just memorizing the way it sounds, which can be helpful because there's been times, for example, when I've been performing where I change my fingering right at the last minute because I think it's something better. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's not such a bad thing, and you're able to do that only if you have the piece itself, the way it sounds, memorized, not just the bowings and fingerings. I have many students that when they memorize something, all they do is memorize the bowings and fingerings, and it's very easy to get off. If you suddenly find yourself in a weird place, like you meant to play a fourth finger G, on the D string, and then suddenly you're in second position and you're not sure how you got there. You can easily find your way out of these problems if you have it memorized really just in terms of the musical aspect, apart from bowings and fingerings. However, if all you have memorized are the bowings and fingerings, then we have a problem. Okay? So those are just a few tips for memorization. Again, I think it's really important, and I also think it's important, strangely enough, to try to memorize a piece as soon as you can in the learning process. This is very, very helpful. It really not only speeds up the learning process, but it helps you to really memorize all those details and kind of learn with an intensity in the beginning of learning a piece that normally we don't really do. So that's what I had to say about that. Please leave your comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Please go to virtualsheetmusic.com and leave your comments there. I cannot respond to comments on YouTube, so please, I'd love to hear your comments about this idea of mine. Yeah, I guess that's it. So this has been Joseph Mendoes for virtualsheetmusic.com. Thank you.